Hello, I'm Charles Kovess, Australasia's passion provocateur. Welcome to this week's episode of the Charles Kovess Show. Today's big idea, your beliefs and coronavirus, a volatile mix. Why do you believe what you believe about coronavirus? Why are you angry when your friends and connections have different beliefs? What's going on inside you that's creating this anger? Why are you willing to end friendships and relationships because somebody believes differently to you? That's what we're exploring in today's big idea. This show is all about the formula SA plus P equals S. Self-awareness plus passion equals success. And if we're talking about different beliefs, I want to ask you, why did the chicken cross the road? Why do you believe the chicken crossed the road? Let me give you some examples of different beliefs. The kindergarten teacher would tell you to get to the other side. Plato would say, for the greater good. Aristotle would say, it's the nature of chickens to cross roads. And Karl Marx would say it was a historical inevitability. Different beliefs, different answers. I'll give you some more answers a bit later in the show. Since 1993, I have been Australasia's passion provocateur when I left my successful legal career to become a professional speaker, a mental laxative. I provoke my audiences, my clients, to live with passion, to discover their passion. That the life without passion is a life of very little substance. I have written 2 books, Passionate People Produce and Passionate Performance. I'll tell you a little bit more about them. And people who have attended my programs have changed their lives for the better. This show is also very much influenced by Socrates' famous saying that the unexamined life is not worth living. I'm wearing my red jacket, my brand. Red is the colour of passion, so when you think of red, think of passion, think of the Charles Kovess Show, and think of all the people that you're going to tell to subscribe to this podcast or the YouTube channel, which you can do down below. I'd love you to subscribe. The addresses you can see on the screen. This show is not politically correct. I reject the whole notion of political correctness. This show also honours the human spirit. We are much more than just the atoms that make us. We have a soul, a spirit, a heart, and that's where passion comes from. My definition of passion is that it's a source of unlimited energy from your soul, your spirit, your heart, that enables you to produce extraordinary results. Why? Because most people aren't pursuing their passion. That's why I do this show, because I want to provoke ever more people to understand what a price we pay when we don't live life with passion. One of the things I'm passionate about, as you know, is coffee. So Stephanie will be very pleased that I'm drinking my coffee. I love coffee. I'm addicted to coffee. 4 or 5 cups a day, very rarely 6. Yum. So what's happened in the past week? Well, it appears that the Victorian government here in Australia has having imposed mandatory face masks, mandatory or stage 3 lockdowns, is now threatening to go to stage 4 because of coronavirus numbers. Well, I'll get to that in a moment. But that has dominated the news, and I have to confess, whilst I'm an avid news absorber, I've now become very discerning in my news. I don't watch TV news. It is crap. I read 2 or 3 newspapers, but I read selectively because I need to understand what's happening in the economy and business. I'm not interested in a lot of opining that's going on. Julie and I have been doing our exercise every day, exercise in stressful times, which coronavirus is making life stressful for many people, although not for a certain group of people, because we have this line in Australia that we're all in this together. I say BS to that line. We're not all in this together because the politicians making decisions, the bureaucrats making decisions, the public servants making decisions, and the doctors making decisions have not had any hit to their income. And not only that, public servants have had an increase in income. We are not all in this together. The people who are suffering the most from this lockdown are young people. We now have unemployment and underemployment of people under 30, well over 30% in this country. It's a disgrace, and I'll relate that issue to today's big topic as well. I've had wonderful learning opportunities. As I say, there's benefits and drawbacks from this lockdown. I'm loving the fact that traffic is better in Melbourne. I'm loving the fact that having to travel to meetings has been reduced significantly. So that's been nice. I've met some interesting people via Zoom meetings. So overall, we have had, Julie and I, a pleasant week. It's not as if it's unpleasant, but I can see the price that countries globally are paying for what I consider to be an inappropriate response. So before I now go to explore this week's big idea, I want to remind you to subscribe to Passion Points to Ponder, to the YouTube channel, to the podcast. Coves.com is my corporate speaking programs, public programs, and charlescoves.com has details of the Self-Awareness and Passion Quest, a group coaching program that will change your life if you choose to participate in it. The topic for this week's show was inspired by my 9-year-old daughter Isabella yesterday, who's been watching all of these episodes, and she said, "Dad, why don't you talk about beliefs?" And I thought, that's a good idea. Whilst episode 13 talks about beliefs, I now want to go to this question of your beliefs about coronavirus, my beliefs about coronavirus, my beliefs and coronavirus, and why it's a volatile mix. I have no vested interest in the coronavirus debate, in the sense that I'm not a pharmaceutical company. I don't sell drugs. I don't sell vitamins. I don't sell anything that gives me a vested interest in the opinions that I'm sharing with you based on my beliefs. I believe certain things about coronavirus. You believe certain things about coronavirus. What do you believe about coronavirus? I'm going to share with you what I believe, but I want to use this as a topical, relevant metaphor for all of your beliefs. Because you believe stuff, as episode 13 explored. Well, let's go a little bit more deeply. How do you feel when people believe things differently to you, when people look at the world differently to you? As I said at the top of the show, are you willing to sacrifice relationships for your beliefs? Now, beliefs we've all got them. They can be formed after deep and comprehensive research, or you hear something on the news and you go, that's the truth. I will now choose to believe that. Why do you believe what you do about coronavirus? Why are you upset if I believe differently to you? Let's explore that for a moment. If I believe that Christianity is a wonderful philosophy, does that upset you? If I believe that Essendon Football Club, because I'm wearing black and red as you can see, is the best team in the AFL, why would that upset you? If I believe that being a meat eater is a wonderful thing to do, why would that upset you? And the answer is, you have a vested interest in your beliefs, because you can see that if I believe differently to you and behave differently to you, then that might cause you some difficulty. Now, in the coronavirus space, we'll get to what that belief might be in a moment. I want to explore why I believe what I do, and then see how that upsets you. And I want to challenge you to question what it is that you precisely believe. And I want to check this volatility, this volatile mix that's happening, because if people walk down the street without a mask, others get upset. Why on earth would they do that? Why would they be upset that someone is not complying with the rules? I made an announcement on this show that I'm opposed to the masks and I wouldn't wear them. I'm now willing to wear a mask only because I can't be bothered with dealing with ignorant people who think that I'm being selfish. I'm not being selfish. I'll give you one example. I say that wearing a mask creates a toxic workplace. I say it's contrary to Victoria and Australian workplace safety laws, occupational health and safety. The oxygen levels are 20% lower in certain masks than they need to be. That's toxic, defined as toxic scientifically. And the carbon dioxide level goes to 4, 5, 6,000 parts per million of the air that you're breathing. That's defined as toxic as well. People who are forced to wear masks at work are working in an unsafe environment, contrary to law. How can I be selfish? Well, people say people will die. We'll explore that in a moment as well. So let me share with you 11 reasons why I believe the government is deluding us. The Australian government, the Victorian government, particularly the Victorian government, and governments around the world, particularly the American government, we are being deluded. Why do I say that? Here's the 11 reasons, and I have more. But I have thought through these reasons. I didn't just make these up. I didn't listen to the news and then say, that's what I believe. I've been involved in health since 1965, as you've heard me say on other episodes. I understand health. I'm committed to health. I spend a lot of time learning about health. You might be upset because you don't learn about health. So you formed an opinion, and all that's happening when you're listening to me, it's showing that you haven't spent enough time studying health. Good. Let that go. Allow me to have my beliefs, just like you might be being accepting of the delusion that government wants to impose on us because it saves you time. You say, I'll just sit back and let government do whatever it wants because, quite frankly, I haven't got the time or the energy. Well, I do have the time and the energy, because this is a crucial element of our humanity, a crucial element of our freedom. I'm all about freedom. Being the passion provocateur is about liberating people, liberating you from being enslaved by tapping into other people's thinking that this is how you have to behave, this is how you have to think. So here's the 11 reasons why wearing masks is a nonsense, why the reaction of government is a nonsense, why the taking away of freedoms is a nonsense, and I reject it. Number 1, contrary views of experts globally, medical experts, are absolutely banned from the mainstream media in this country and in America. Number 2, Facebook, Google and YouTube censor any views that are contrary to the standard line that coronavirus is a deadly disease. I say BS to that. Number 3, the World Health Organization says that 99% of people who contract or who are tested with coronavirus, and even the test, that's number 12, the tests are not accurate. The WHO says 99% of people who contract the disease get 0 or mild symptoms. 99%. Number 4, Very few people die from coronavirus without comorbidities. In fact, with comorbidities, the number of people who die is 0.26%, less than half of 1%. Number 5, big pharmaceutical companies have a vested interest in the government line because they're saying, and the government is saying, we won't be back to normal until there's a vaccine. I say BS to that. We haven't got a vaccine for the common cold. We expect there's going to be a vaccine in a few months. What nonsense. Number 6, coronavirus is not novel. We have thousands of viruses in our bodies. And as Dr. Zach Bush so beautifully says, all the viruses in our bodies have not been mapped. How do we know this is the novel virus, this particular one, COVID-19? We don't, because we've got other coronaviruses. Number 7, I have done lots of study, as I said earlier. This is the number 7 rule, that I have formed the view, the belief, that we are being sold a pup, we are being sold a lie, that this is a deadly virus, and that's based on all the study I've done. You might have a belief, but if you've done no study, then your belief is formed on a very thin basis. Number 8, the government is absolutely ignoring the costs of the deaths of despair. I say the number of suicides will be far greater than the deaths directly from coronavirus. Far greater. From depression, from domestic violence, from people's loss of careers. Those costs are not being published or being discussed, and I'm disgusted. Number 9, the masks don't work. I have read a string of scientific studies that wearing a mask is like trying to stop a mosquito fly through a wire fence. The virus is much smaller than the gaps in the masks. And then the way that you have to handle the mask, very few people are going to properly handle the mask to stop any idea of infection. Number 10, the masks are blocking human interaction and communication with disastrous consequences which will add to the deaths of despair. Number 11, this is the first time in history that the healthy are being locked down as distinct to those who have got pre-existing problems. I honour the fact that they've got pre-existing problems. They are the ones that should be locked away from the population. This is the first time ever in history, and it's on lousy, rotten bases from all of the study that I've done. Now, let's turn to how you feel about what's been your reaction to what I've just shared with you. You see, because I haven't shared anything with you that is not based on learning and research that I have done. What is it about that upsets you? Look inside you. Use this as a metaphor for all the other times where you get upset with people who have different beliefs. I invite you to think about, gosh, what is there that is a belief versus a fact? I ask audiences when I'm running workshops, give me something that's true, give me a fact. And then they will say that the sun rises in the east. And I say to them, that's not a fact. The sun does not rise in the east. The world turns and the sun appears, what Buckminster Fuller would call sun sight. Not the sun rises, it's just an illusion of rising. So that's not even true. So I invite you to think about, are you wedded to these beliefs that you have that you think are facts when they're not facts at all? Now, some people have accused me of being locked in my beliefs. Again, I know that's not true. I have an open mind. My wonderful father taught me to have an open mind. I'm open. Give me the evidence. Government, give me the evidence. And this will be number 12. The numbers that are quoted in the Australian media about the percentages, the number of deaths, are entirely meaningless. They throw numbers around to confuse you, deliberately confuse you, to make you think this is a huge problem. It's not. It's not. And they're not answering questions that Alan Jones, for example, on Sky News is beautifully asking. The alternative media in America that I subscribe to, the alternative media in Europe that I subscribe to, the questions, the proper questions that are being asked are not being answered by government. Why not? Where are the vested interests? I say that government, having made this decision, they are scared to say, we were wrong. I'm saying that government is wrong. And government, if you say that you're right, give me the evidence. Don't tell me that 600 people got the virus. No, they were tested. And that test is notoriously unreliable. And do you know that the whole genome of the coronavirus, of COVID-19, has not been identified? That they're taking a snippet, that the test that's being used just takes a snippet. Oh, look, we think you've got coronavirus. So what? 99% of people will have no symptoms or mild symptoms. If you're scared of getting coronavirus, have a look. Why are you scared? That's a belief. So come back to this overall question. What do you believe and why do you believe it? And be willing to get rid of your beliefs, because then your beliefs are also stopping you from pursuing your passion. Your beliefs are stopping you from having the relationships of your dreams. Your beliefs are stopping you from giving away a job you hate to become an entrepreneur who could solve magnificent problems on the planet. Don't be trapped by your beliefs. They're only beliefs. They are not who made you. You have been indoctrinated. I have been indoctrinated. The self-awareness journey is letting go of the indoctrination and saying, why do I believe that? It's a lousy basis on which to believe that. I think I'll find better things to believe and find evidence for that. And as they say in the classics, optimists live longer than pessimists. Doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong, but they live longer. So, enough heavy-duty stuff, but you might get my passion around this. I urge you to allow people to have their own beliefs. You are allowed to have your own beliefs, but do not be ignorant. Do not be innocently ignorant. Do not be negligently ignorant. Do not be deliberately ignorant. Now, we need some more answers to the question. The beliefs around the chickens. By the way, do you love chicken? I love chicken. The chickens. Why did the chicken cross the road? Here's some more beliefs. Captain James Kirk. To go boldly where no chicken has gone before. Hippocrates. Because of an excess of phlegm in his pancreas. Martin Luther King. I envision a world where all chickens will be free to cross roads without having their motives being called into question. And the last one, Colonel Sanders. I missed one. The song, today's song, tied into this theme of your beliefs, of my beliefs, of allowing your friends to have beliefs, of not ending wonderful relationships because people have beliefs that are contrary to your own. And this is by Fleetwood Mac, and Julie, my darling wife, she taught me to love Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac with much passion, because she's very passionate about them. And today's song is Go Your Own Way. Go your own way. I go my own way. I don't impose my beliefs on you. You can go your own way, but don't be ignorant. Remember how that song goes? You can go your own way. Go your own way. You can call it, and on it goes. I'm not going to hurt your ears. I just want to remind you of what the song is, or what the song sounds like to some degree. The book of the week is by M. Scott Peck, famous book, The Road Less Travelled. Are you willing to embrace ideas that are different to the mob? Because right now, I say around the world, particularly the Western world and all the communications that I get, I say that 20% of the population agrees wholeheartedly with what I say and 80% do not. The mob says that masks are going to save lives. I say nonsense. All right, but that's what the mob, the majority think. I'm not interested in doing what the majority say unless the evidence is compelling. And I call again on government to give me the evidence. But absent that evidence, I'm going the road less travelled. I urge you to be true to yourself and go your own way. Read books like The Road Less Travelled. And the quote today is from Robert Frost, famous poem called The Road Not Taken. And indeed, this is where the title for Scott Peck's book came from. And the poem starts with, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveller. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. And the last paragraph, there's 4 stanzas to it. The last stanza, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Are you willing to take the road less travelled by? To perhaps inspire you and motivate you to take the road less travelled, I want you to think about one thing. If you want to earn more money, who earns more money? The average performer, the person who behaves like the mob, or the outstanding performer, the person who stands out, the person who is different? Give you one example. Just think of Lady Gaga. Look at how she dresses. There are so many great singers. Who stands out? Who gets rewarded? If you want to take the safe road, the boring road, take the road that most people take. That's not the road for me. In line with your self-awareness, what is the right road for you? My health tip today is, in an environment of virus discussions and immunity, take more vitamin C. I've told you before, I repeat it, I take 6,000 milligrams a day, 6 grams of vitamin C a day. My father taught me this in the 1960s. I have done this all my life. Somewhere between 3,000 and 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Doctors will tell you, by the way, who have almost no training in nutrition, they'll say, 30 milligrams is the 30 milligrams, 30,000th of a gram. Like, I take 6,000 of this. I take 200 times, 20 times by 30, 20 by 30, no, 200 times the recommended daily allowance. And the other one is vitamin D. Get in the sun. Don't wear sunglasses because the sunshine in your eyes helps your body take vitamin D. And vitamin D has been proven to be a useful tool in fighting any of the impact of coronavirus. My spiritual tip for the day is to remind you of Christ's challenging message to love your neighbour and even to love your enemy and to love those who have contrary beliefs to you. Why would you stop loving another person because they believe different things to you? You don't have to mix with them, but continue to love them, to continue to wish of the best for them. My wish for you is that you choose to learn about coronavirus. If you choose not to, that's your choice. But don't wreck your relationships because of this nonsensical idea about beliefs that are based on inadequate data. That's too big a price to pay. Well, I've gone a bit longer today. I haven't ranted. I've spoken my truth from my heart. I urge you to think about this idea, to explore your beliefs, to think about, are you creating volatility in your life because of beliefs around this hot topic of coronavirus. I urge you to write out what you believe. I urge you to think about this. I urge you to subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel or both. I urge you to share this show with your friends. I promise you that I consider everything I share with you to be of value to our humanity. That's what drives me, so that you live a life that is fulfilling to you. And so I wish for you this week, a week of enlightenment, a week of challenges, because that's how you learn and grow. You will never learn and grow if you don't embrace challenges, of insight, of love, of fun, of observing the benefits and the drawbacks of what we're all experiencing. What each of us is experiencing, because we're not all in this together. Thank you for being with us on the show. I look forward to being with you next week. Bye.